Hello, this is the TradeSite U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview for Thursday, the 3rd of March 2022, and Friday the 4th. As usual, we don't typically do market previews for Fridays. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. Obviously, we're looking at the global situation, and if something major happens, we might consider looking at that. But until then, it is what it is. Here's a look at the ES front month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the broad market. In futures form, we're still in the same range from the last 5 days. Let's really analyze. Let's be clear, because everybody thinks, oh, the market started falling apart because of Ukraine. Nah, that's not really what happened, right? We started falling apart back at the start of January, and we started hearing more and more about the Fed raising rates. And at one point in time, it was they were going to raise half point, and then it was maybe at the March meeting, and then it was maybe even raising rates before the meeting. And I think that was kind of getting cooked in the books. And then we got a little bounce off of that, but we established a downtrend, right? And then the Ukrainian hit came last Thursday, and that's the big dip lower to 4,100 on the ES. And that's 700 points off the highs. So just to be clear, that's 15%. But we spiked right back up, and it is what it is. So in other words, the market basically said, yeah, this is one thing, but we don't know yet if this is going to get out of control. If it's very regional, it could be no big deal. If it escalates, there's a problem, and we understand that. What it also did was it maybe took away some of the Fed's luster to raise rates, right? So we'll see what happens there. Here's a look at the, but again, like we're basically, since that bounce, that first day after the invasion where we dipped and came back, next day we were up, and then these last 5 days have been very boring, and we'll look at that in the internal action in a minute. Here's the S&P cash up 80.28. So nothing much there. NASDAQ 100 up 237.71. Again, this one made even lower lows. I mean, from 16,600, and there's a 13 sell signal in December. That was the high, by the way. Look at those signal. So perfect. All the way down to 13,000 and maybe 100. That's a 3,700 point drop. And it's about 15%. Let's call it that. SOX down, up 111 today, but well off the lows. Biotech's up 31.02, but well off the lows. Russell 2000 gains 50, but still near the lows. The crude oil number, now we're up in big territory, right? The last few days with everything going on in Russia, up 114.27. Gold up 19, or sitting at 1925.7, up $3.20. So gold finally broke out of this nice cup, right? We pointed that out on this. It's been so flat for there was all these inflationary concerns. No, gold did not care about inflation up until this invasion. So this is a whole different thing. The advanced decline ratio on the NASDAQ plus 1142, more stocks up than down. On the New York plus 1389, also more stocks up than down. NASDAQ volume is 5.2 billion shares. It's down from the last couple days, but it's still higher than we've been seeing because volume was really kind of dropping, right? We've 4.4 billion shares heading as a 10-day moving average heading into March. If you go back to last year, the 10-day moving average was more like 6 billion shares, right? So we're down. We were down 20% on volume on a daily basis until this happened. The VIX down $2.58. So it was, never broke the highs of the prior day here. When you have a positive day, that is what tends to happen. The trend closes at 0.5. That's a very low reading. Puts the 10-day moving average at 1.15. Apple up $3.36. Nowhere near the highs. But note that it's bounced twice now, including the Ukrainian invasion day. Start of it last Thursday, off of the static trend line of the last 9-bar count up. Amazon up 18.21. Facebook up $4.62. So there's that. Google up $10.20. Goldman Sachs up 18.18. Potentially double bottom in Goldman Sachs, but I wouldn't bank on it. Let's look at the failure and see what happens. Netflix was down $6.21. Well off the highs. I mean, this thing's down almost 50% in the last 4 months. Nothing pretty there. Peloton down 89 cents. We can probably stop talking about Peloton at this point. It's not going to be anything real for a while. TLT, the 20-year bond ETF, down $4.83. Big drop there on the 20-year bonds. That's rates higher when bonds are lower is what it is. Tesla up 15.52. But again, well off the highs. And look at the 13 sell signal back at the start of January. Totally right on the mark. Zoom loses $1.17. And this thing's just sitting. It's horrible. Bitcoin, though, back up. It's a little down right now, but I mean, you're sitting just under the 44,000 level. The Dow was up 596 points on the session. But if we look at the intraday action, if we go to the 5-minute charts, here's what happened, right? So far you've had Monday and Tuesday this week. So Monday flat opening, headed lower, banged around a little bit and closed down for the day. Tuesday we gapped up. On the ES we never quite filled and then went higher. So now for the week we're up, 10, 15 points. It's not a big deal. Nothing major there, and it's been very flat afternoon again. NASDAQ side, look, the gaps are all filled, but again, this thing's dead flat. Look at this. The close today is almost exactly the close from Friday. So we've done nothing so far this week. It's very untradeable. We're not going to force anything. We've got a couple calls out. We'll call it what it is, but it's just not a great trading environment. In terms of economic data coming out, what's left for the week, we've got the services PMI numbers out of most of the European countries and the unemployment rate out of Europe at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. Challenger job cuts at 7:30 here in the U.S. The initial and continuing jobless claims numbers at 8:30, along with revised non-farm productivity. Final services PMI at 9:45. ISM services and factory orders at 10. Also, Fed Chair Powell continues to testify to Congress. Natty gas at 10:30. Unemployment rate out of Japan at 6:30 in the afternoon. Retail sales out of Australia. German trade balance out of Europe. French industrial production out of Europe, construction PMI out of the UK, retail sales out of Europe, building permits and labor productivity. And then on Friday, we've got the big one, non-farm employment, or the unemployment rate and the non-farm numbers at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That'll be a big one to see what that does to the market. So unless something major happens on Thursday, we probably won't have a market preview, but that's what we're looking at right now. Charts, as usual, brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading Thursday and Friday.